Formula One sprint races are at the burning core of F1 controversy at the moment. Love them or loathe them, they're igniting arguments everywhere. The Austin sprint race? It was a perfect example of why some fans are fuming. The debate for change is in full flow and there is a demand for revolution, and some of the suggestions are absolutely insane. Want to know how F1 is turbocharging the sprint race landscape? Then don't go anywhere. Being from the UK, I'm pretty lucky that the majority of the time, the races are on at a sensible time for me. They're either earlier in the morning, which I don't mind, or in the afternoon, which I love. In the case of the American leg of the calendar though, they're on late at night, which isn't the end of the world. In the case of the Austin sprint race, it was on at 11 PM. I know, that isn't really that late, and I had nothing to do on Sunday either, so I could have stayed up for it. But I didn't, because the idea of watching a sprint race for 19 laps didn't give me a reason to. And I'm the type of person who'll watch an entire weekend of practice sessions when I'm able to as well. The problem with sprint races, and these are sentiments I see in the comments section all the time, is that they don't really offer enough to be exciting. They exist in this limbo between the race and a practice session. Yes, the cars line up on the grid and they race each other for an hour, but it isn't really a proper race, is it? There are points on offer, but they aren't really enough to make a difference in the championship. They're like an afterthought gift you get from attending a conference. You know, the little goodie bags with a pen and a lanyard in? That's what it feels like. Then you have the actual on-track racing. No one's going at 100% because every driver has the race on Sunday in the back of their mind. They know that if they make a mistake that knocks them out of the race, it could cost them on Sunday due to replacement parts giving them a grid penalty, or even starting them from the pit lane, like we saw 4 cars do last Sunday. To make sprint races more exciting, they either need to have absolutely zero effect on the main race on Sunday so drivers can go hell for leather, or they need to offer big prizes to encourage better racing. They also need to appeal to us the fans more, ideally with bigger prizes, so seeing a shock win, like Oscar Piastri pulled off a few races ago, means more and creates more of an emotional response. At the end of the season, Oscar's 8 points from the Qatar sprint won't really mean much. Max Verstappen's latest sprint race victory hasn't changed his hatred of the format, which he believes takes away from the magic of a Grand Prix weekend. Verstappen said Saturday's track sessions felt flat after the excitement of qualifying for the Grand Prix on Friday. "I don't really get excited by it," he said. "I just feel like once you've completed qualifying, you're a bit lost." I'm sure as fans, that's a feeling you can all understand. Formula One has changed its sprint format each year since its introduction in 2021. This year, drivers have a separate second qualifying session earlier on Saturday before the sprint race. "I feel like we only need one qualifying in the weekend where you really put everything on the line and it feels great," said Verstappen, who won today's sprint race from pole position. "This morning you put it on P1, but I'm like, this is Saturday. It's not many points anyway for the race." I'm sure that it is a feeling that resonates with many of you as well. The sprint qualifying really doesn't offer the same excitement because you know it's just for the sprint race, which, again, kind of doesn't mean anything. Max also believes the sprint race detracts from the Grand Prix. Now we've done this race, everyone more or less knows what's going to happen tomorrow between all the cars in terms of pace, so it takes a bit of the excitement away from it. If you wouldn't have done today, and we only had that qualifying that we had yesterday, you don't really know what's going to happen before the race, so everyone's very excited turning on the TV, because you don't know, and also we didn't know. Now we know a little bit. Ironically, Max was actually proven to be completely wrong on this point, as on Sunday his RB19 really struggled for pace, especially late on in the race as Lewis Hamilton stalked him all the way to the line. Nonetheless though, this is another piece of the problematic sprint race puzzle. This season especially, if you saw the sprint result and Max had finished 10 seconds ahead of everyone else, you're going to be far less excited for Sunday. The unknown of Sunday is part of the allure of the Grand Prix. The sprint is like a movie trailer that gives away all the good bits, it's just a spoiler. However, Hamilton, who suggested Verstappen sounded bored by his comfortable win in Saturday's sprint race, said there is a slightly different perspective when you're chasing. "For us, it's fun," said the Mercedes driver. "For me, it's fun. I like having the extra opportunity to get out there and try to squeeze everything, every little bit more out of the package that we have. Can it be better? I'm sure we can learn. I think it's been exciting for people. I personally quite like the sprint weekends, particularly a Friday. I really like where you only have one practice session and then you're straight into quali. Formula One is very aware of the issues with sprint races, it seems, and are keen to make them better, as Hamilton suggests they can be. While formal proposals have not yet been put forward for potential changes to the sprint format that could come as early as 2024, reports are saying that informal discussions have begun in the paddock about what can be done to spice things up. Jonathan Noble of motorsport.com said in a recent article, "It is understood that several radical ideas are already being floated around for consideration. These include turning the Saturdays into a standalone F1 Sprint Championship, so any points earned on a Saturday do not count for the main F1 championships. This would also help avoid a repeat of the scenario in Qatar, where the driver's crown was won in a sprint event rather than the main Grand Prix. One idea to encourage drivers to take the sprint format more seriously could be to get a sponsor on board and offer a major cash prize for the winners. That could stretch to $1 million. A standalone sprint championship is an idea I've seen discussed in the comments of our videos. The prizes on offer would need to be impactful enough to encourage competitive driving. But if you can find a sponsor, then the McDonald's Sprint Championship with a $1 million check for first place after every race could be an entertaining watch. One idea that regularly gets floated, which is also apparently under consideration, is a reverse grid based on the qualifying for the main race or the Drivers' Championship before the weekend began. Logan Sargent versus Daniel Ricciardo into the first corner, anyone? It would definitely create a lot of on-track action. Prior to the introduction of the sprint race format in 2021, F1's owners Liberty Media made a concerted effort to introduce reversed grids to the World Championship. The plan was overwhelmingly opposed by drivers who likened it to WWE-style artificial competition. However, F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali has continued to push for reverse grid races. In a shock interview after the snooze fest on Saturday in Austin, Christian Horner actually raised it to the media as a way to bring some excitement into the races. Suggesting that the current sprint format is not good enough, the Red Bull team boss revealed in Austin, "I think you've got to add a bit more jeopardy to it. Whether you reverse the top 10 or something, you've got to add enough points to it to make it worth the drivers to really go for it. I never thought I'd see the day that a Formula 1 team principal was asking for something like that, but here we are." Toto Wolff, however, remains utterly opposed to the idea and suggested F1 should drop the sprint race format entirely. "I'm conservative in racing," he said. "I'd rather have no sprint races. Then, if we start to meddle even more and do more reverse grid races, we're going more to a format of junior formulas. Sport follows entertainment, whilst entertainment should follow sport. The attraction of F1 lies in having a true competition between teams," he said. "The honesty about the stopwatch is what attracts us. Creating artificial gaming around the sprint race on a Saturday is not the way that I would favour personally. But that's my opinion. At the end, all teams together with Stefano, we just need to think, is it the best for the sport? This is a discussion that's always going to have polarizing sides, and whether the sport ditches the sprint, introduces bigger prizes, makes them a separate championship, or reverses the grid, there are going to be people who are upset. What I know for sure is that they aren't going to get dropped anytime soon. Formula 1 wants them, and they will keep tweaking them until they work. Are you a sprint race fan, or do you think they are a failure? What would you do to improve them? Join the discussion in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.